So the WOW card, which by the way stands for Without Walls, I didn't say that earlier, Without Walls, the idea is that the library is going to be available to anyone no matter where you are, whether you're at the library, whether you're at home, whether you're at school, anywhere you are, you can have access to the library. And this card gives you access to a variety of digital resources. You can get free ebooks, which also includes free audiobooks, streaming video from NC Kids Digital Library, the NC Digital Library, Freeding, and also homegrown ebooks, which is through NC Live. NC Live is mostly, though, used for research, and we'll do a little demo to show you just the different, the vast amount of resources that are available through NC Live. Free magazines from Zinio. That one is starred for right now because we're not going to dive too much into it today. The Zinio service is actually merging with a different service to become one service, and at the moment it's kind of in flux. Once we get that settled out, once all the merger has occurred, we will send out an updated training video or an updated training something so that you guys can also use that resource as well. But we do want you to note that you can get free online magazines through Zinio, and that feature will eventually be available. And then finally, language learning with Rocket Languages, which is a really cool service. And no, we have not forgotten Tumble Books. Tumble Books are really popular with the elementary school teachers and students. It's an animated book site that's it's a lot of fun. So I'll actually show you real quick how Tumble Books works. This is a feature particularly a lot of our school media specialists in the elementary schools already use. And you guys actually had access to it a lot before. Tumble Books decided they could make more money, so you actually have a separate subscription it's a partner subscription with the library. So Tumble Books work the exact same way that it worked before. You go to our website, you click on it, it'll recognize your IP is coming through the Gaston County Public Library, and boom, and you're here. So you have a lot of different things. There's storybooks, there are read-alongs, there's all sorts of things. They have really fun videos. You can watch American Crocodiles, for example, and you just play the video. They have animated books, which help students with early literacy skills that are important. And at first I thought, oh, that this won't be useful to, say, middle school or high school students. But when we were doing some training earlier this summer, I actually had a high school Spanish teacher said that she was going to use this because there are books in Spanish here on Tumble Books, that her students, even though in high school, they're reading at this level when it comes to Spanish. So this is a great way for them to learn as well. So this is something that's actually useful for all ages, but mostly used by our elementary school students. All right. So, all right, so now we have Tumble Books down. The most popular resource, the one that most likely is going to be used the most, is the North Carolina Digital Library that also has a new offshoot called the NC Kids Digital. We're really excited about this project. This is something that has come from the State Library and the North Carolina Public Library Directors Association. NC Kids is the first state-sponsored digital library specifically for children anywhere in the country. We are actually really breaking ground here in North Carolina. Our state library is by doing this specifically for kids. It's technically geared towards children's birth through grade 4. When we were doing this training, we realized that, for example, the middle school Battle of the Books lists were on there. So actually it looks like it's extending beyond grade 4 into the middle grades. And really cool, LSTA grants. We get LSTA grants through the IMLS, the Institute for Museum and Library Services, which is a federal department, and they send money to all the state libraries. And there was a LSTA grant. They granted $100,000 specifically to NC Kids this year, which means that there has been just an influx of tons of new stuff on the NC Kids Digital Library. So the amount of material that is there for these kids has just exploded in the last couple months. And they'll be able to access this actually two ways: through the Libby application, which we'll discuss and do a showcase of that, or you can also do it on your browser. Right now, we do not know when the Libby application is going to be put on all of the devices for Gaston County Schools. Your IT department is working on that. But until the application is actually put on them, you can still read these books. You can still access this resource just through your browser. So just some important facts about both for the NCDL and for NC Kids. There are 5 checkouts of ebooks or e-audiobooks allowed per card, and 6 holds are allowed. Many titles are simultaneous use. This is really great for classroom learning because of their simultaneous use. Then every student in the classroom on their one-to-one device can access the same book at the same time. These are called never-ending reading, and there's a section for that on NC Kids, which I will show you for you guys. And then If they do want to place a hold on either the NCDL or the NC Kids, if the item's not available, it does require an email address. We know that the middle school and the high school students do have free email addresses through the county school system. We know that the elementary school students do not. However, with NC Kids, this is not a big concern. They have really worked hard to make sure that these kids are not having to put things on hold or not having to wait, and that many of them are simultaneous use. For your older students, though, that will be important through the NCDL, but luckily they do have an email provided for them. So why Libby? If any of you are familiar with our digital library, you know that for a long time we've used the Overdrive app. This is something you can go, it's free, both Libby and Overdrive. You can go to your app store and download them for free. Overdrive has decided to create a new application. Both applications are working at the same time. They're still supporting both of them. Libby is the one that the Gaston County Schools IT staff chose to use. And there are several reasons, and they're really good reasons, and it's why even here at the library for all of our patrons, we're going to start pushing towards using Libby instead of Overdrive. First of all, it's a newer application. It's much more updated, which is really nice. The Overdrive app's kind of clunky. It's a lot easier to use and set up. That was one of the big things, is that once people got used to Overdrive, they really loved it, but we spent a lot of time having to train people, our patrons and our staff, to learn how to download it on all these different devices because it just wasn't easy to set up. And then particularly for you guys at the schools, the reason we're using Libby, or the reason your IT staff has chosen to use Libby, is because it is designed particularly for children, particularly for elementary school teachers, to utilize with this new NC Kids database. But you guys are allowed to use it too as an adult. You'll have the same access. I think, though, that the school made the right choice with Libby. It really is a lot easier to set up, and it's going to be a lot more intuitive for your students. So I wanted to do some screenshots of the application. This is just my iPhone that I did one night just to show you how to do it. I'm also going to show you how you can do it on your browser. So you'll start when you open up Libby, you download it for you guys on your devices. Once IT downloads the application, it'll be available for you on all your devices. It'll look for the local library. This one had of course I had my location services on, so it just automatically found it. Otherwise, you can also do Find My Library, and you can put in your zip code or your town, and you'll be able to find it. And it automatically popped up Gaston County Public Library and the North Carolina Digital Library that all of this is through. So you say yes. And then all you have to do is select a library from the list. And by the way, this is what you do to actually set it up. Once this is set up, you don't have to continue to re-enter this information. So you look for us here at the Gaston County Public Library. They're in alphabetical order. The NCDL is a consortium, which is really great. It means that we are pulling resources and funds from different middle to smaller library systems across the state of North Carolina. And so you'll see all the different counties that are involved with the NCDL. But you pick Gaston County Public Library, and then it'll say card number. And this is where the students will enter their WOW card number. As you can see, we kind of went ahead and put it as WOW. Or for you as teachers or staff, that's when you will put in your 2505 number that you have. And then you're in. You're here, you're in the North Carolina Digital Library, you can start downloading items. And this is one of those too. On the Overdrive app, there was the Overdrive app versus the NCDL. They really weren't connected. Libby has eliminated a lot of that. You literally go to something that says it's available. The first one I saw was Girl on the Train. It was available. It said, you've put in your library card. Do you want to borrow? Yes. And then it immediately pops up and says, do you want to see it in your loans? And there you are. And right here, and I'd also downloaded The Martian too. And right here it says Open Book. You hit Open Book, and there we go. And that's the first page of Girl on the Train. So it's a really simple process of setting up, and it's kind of intuitive in a way that the old Overdrive app was not. So you would literally hit that, and then borrow, and then there you go, and it's available. So that's a really nice process. The North Carolina Digital Library is the granddaddy kind of this. This is the one that's been around for a while. The NC Kids is actually just a few years, actually less than a year old. It also uses the Libby app, and it just depends on whether you access the kids or the digital library. They have the read-in browser, which I'll show you in a minute. But what I wanted to point out right here, and this is why I put Tanya Jones, our collection development supervisor's information, is that with the consortium, we have a certain amount of money that we contribute to the consortium as a whole. And then we have an Advantage account. And the Advantage account is specifically for our patrons, our card holders. We order items that are only available to download for our card holders. So this is really good. This is why I want you guys to know Tanya's information. If there's a book that you need as a classroom, something that you wanted to use specifically for a project, we can use our Advantage account, and that way only card holders here in Gaston County will be able to use it, so that makes it so that you don't have all these holes. So I just wanted you guys to know that you can definitely call Tanya if there's something that you really need. We can see if we can get it specifically for our card holder, specifically for the WoW card.